want to appreciate you. Our other partners include Siatini, I think that's the Assistant Executive Director is here. We have the Economic Policy Research Center. We should have a representative from EPRC. We have, of course, the Uganda Debt Network. The chair is here, but the Executive Director is here. Please stand, Mr. Patrick, who is here in his own right as Executive Director. And we have other stakeholders for this particular budget session that include the Uganda Revenue Authority, the Commissioner General, Mr. John Rushochi is here. We want to thank you, sir, for joining us. And of course, all the other MDAs that are present here. I want, Honorable Minister, to indicate to you the key partners that are in this room, and we want in a very special way. And I want to request this room to appreciate UNICEF, that is a partner in this particular launch because of the open. The Private Sector Foundation of Uganda. The Executive Director is expected here. I don't know who is representing PSFU. And I see one of the board members coming in, Badrun Tege, but the former vice is here, the Honorable Victoria Sechuleko. So we want to appreciate the Private Sector Foundation for being here with us. Honorable Minister, we have our commissioners in the Ministry of Finance, but before that, the DST, the Deputy Secretary of the Treasury, Patrick Ochilap is here, and my Undersecretary, Doctor, is also here. He's my boss today, so I'll be extremely careful because Doctor is in charge. And Honorable Minister, whatever goes wrong, I am responsible. Whatever goes right, it is Doctor who will have taken care of that. So we appreciate Dr. Sengonzi for putting this together. I want to recognize all the commissioners who are here in this room, but first the Director Budget. Yes, our Director Budget. UBC needs a budget, so I will be very careful. Mr. Ismail Magona, thank you for joining us. The commissioners, we want to recognize all the commissioners here. I'll begin with Mr. Joseph Enyimu, who is the Commissioner for EDRP, or EDPR, Economic Development and Policy and Research. Joseph, I think I saw him arrive. We have Hannington Ashaba, my brother here, who project analysis and public investment management. We have Mr. Kakamba Godwin, our Commissioner Cash Policy, and our Commissioner Isingoma Hussein, responsible for audit. I see he's around. And finally, Muhei, this is a very difficult name. Sometimes I struggle with it. Muheiroha John, our Commissioner Budget. Thank you, sir, for joining us. All the assistant commissioners present here. And finally, Honorable Minister, one of the heads of our MDAs is here, the Executive Director of the National Housing and Construction Company. We want to thank you, sir, for joining us this morning. Honorable Minister, we have a very short program. We won't keep you here too long. I need to mention this is being broadcast live on UBC and other partners, and I will only mention UBC for obvious purposes. I want to now take the singular honor and pleasure of inviting the Permanent Secretary and Secretary of the Treasury, Mr. Ramadan Gobi, to come and make his keynote address. Can we welcome the PSST?
Thank you very much, Maurice. The Honorable Minister of State for Privatization and Investment, and now holding the docket of the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Madam Hanite Kajik. I had to be reminded. The various heads of government institutions and government departments and agencies, the various leaders we have from the civil society organizations, the senior technical officers of the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and other government institutions, the members of the media, all of you, ladies and gentlemen, fellow Ugandans, good morning to you all. First of all, I take this opportunity to welcome all of you who are here in the room and all of those who are out there streaming into this function to the launch of the budget month for the financial year 2024-2025. In accordance with our laws which govern us when we are preparing the budget, in particular the Public Finance Management Act of 2025 as amended, the process of preparing the budget started in September last year. September 2023, that's when we started this process, which is still ongoing. And this involved very wide consultations with all key stakeholders, including His Excellency the President, first and foremost. Then the Cabinet, the Parliament, the civil society organizations, ministries and agencies of government, local governments, development partners, the private sector, including business representatives and investment organizations, the academia. We also consulted community leaders. We consulted the youth and women groups, the persons with disabilities, as well as average citizens. We held very wide consultations. The input from these consultations informed the budget, which we prepared for the coming financial year 24-25. And the theme of this budget, as you already know, we are continuing with the theme we've had in the previous 2 years. Full monetization of the Uganda's economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. The detailed budget framework paper, as well as the draft estimates for the next financial year, were prepared and submitted to Cabinet and Parliament for approval. And on Thursday of 16th May this year, Parliament approved the budget for next year. The appropriation bill is before the HE, the President, for assent. And we are sure that he will do that as he always does. The key priorities of this budget we are talking about include the following. Next year, we want to continue investing in the people of Uganda through human capital development, education, health care, water for human consumption, and other amenities that make our lives as Ugandans better. Secondly, we want also to continue prioritizing peace and security, because that's the cornerstone of all other things we want to do. Number 3 is the construction of the standard gauge railway, as well as the meter gauge railway revamp. We are revamping the meter gauge. Those who are living on the line, you see the kind of work ongoing. We are continuing and finalizing it, including now the Tororo Gulu section. But also we are starting the SGR. Very soon you will see government signing the contract and works beginning. Number 4, we are investing in wealth creation initiatives, such as the parish development model. We are continuing with the funding a Myoga agricultural credit facility. We are also supporting micro businesses by giving money to various circles through the Microfinance Support Center. We are also continuing with the youth support projects, which are implemented particularly by putting in place the industrial hubs being built by the State House, among other wealth creation initiatives. This coming year, actually, we are also supporting large commercial farmers so that they are able to produce at a relatively higher level. The other priority is maintenance of the existing infrastructure. We've scaled down a bit on building new roads and maintain the big stock of tarmac roads we've put together, and also those dry weather roads we have across the country, so that they are well maintained. We are also prioritizing science, technology, and innovation to propel the knowledge economy, among others. Now, these priorities are in support of the key growth drivers that are going to help us grow the economy tenfold in the next 15 years. We have already put up a strategy. We have started to communicate to you. Very soon we shall also launch it officially. And we all know what we are going to do in the next 1.5 decades of propelling the economy from about $55 billion to $550 billion in our lifetime. Now, by implementing these initiatives, government, and those initiatives are 5 of them, what we call the ATMs: agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral-based industrialization, including oil and gas, science, technology, and innovation, or what we call the knowledge economy. Those are the 4 key areas which we have identified as ATMs. You know, the ATM is for giving you money. Now we have ATMs for Ugandan economy, which are going to give us money in the next 15 years. Agro-industrialization. You want to make money in Uganda, invest in there. Government will be supporting you. Tourism development. We want to propel that tourism industry to a $50 billion sector or program in our development agenda. You want to make money, invest in tourism development. Government will support you. We have our mineral-based industrial development. All these minerals we have, from gold to tin to phosphates and so many others, you know them. Uganda is endowed to the marrow. Plus oil and gas. You want to make money and you go in there, government will support you. You are an innovator, a young man somewhere, want to innovate and create new value out of intellectual property, out of, thinking in another way, in a chaotic way, but very productive way. Government is going to support you. By implementing these initiatives, we shall continue to focus on increasing revenue collection. Revenue collection is key. We are also continuing to control borrowing, especially for those things which do not add to these 4 areas we have talked about, plus, of course, the infrastructure. We are not going to be borrowing for them. We are going to ensure more efficiency and effectiveness in use of the limited resources we have, controlling government spending in areas. We are doing this, although we don't, in the government, over talk about certain issues. I hear a lot of complaints on how some of the government entities spend money. I want to assure you that every revenue that is collected from Ugandans is going to be accounted for going forward. And we have a very good strategy for that, as you are going to learn in this month. So this National Budget Month, it is one of those areas we want to use to get to you to understand that preparing a good budget is just one thing. But to effectively implement it, to achieve our set objectives and get the desired results is another. It requires effective engagement of the key stakeholders in the implementation. It requires effective monitoring and oversight of the budget so that we get accountability with the results, not accountability on paper. It is against this background that this Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in collaboration with our budget transparency and accountability partners, some of whom are here in the room, we annually organize the National Budget Month, during which purposive engagements are undertaken to effectively communicate the budget. The government has walked this journey with the civil society organizations since 2018. During the budget month, together with our partners, we are going to take this budget to the people of Uganda, you the people of Uganda, to know what is in this budget. And in that, we are going to do the following. Number one, provide full disclosure of the budget content. What is in the budget? Fully disclosed to everybody. The budget is a public, document. Some of this information is buried in so much detail. The team at my ministry, working with our partners, civil society, and civil society, they are always nosy, and they want to go and look for those things which perhaps the eye may not look at. I'm very happy that we are working together to have this full disclosure. Number two, explain in simple language what the budget entails, so that all Ugandans understand the budget in your language. In Uganda, the Baganda will go to all radios and the town halls to ensure that they explain this. In Luo, all the Arus will go and explain this. Those who are in Ichigezi, I have so many Bachiga, will come and explain in Runyachigezi, Runyachitara, what this budget is all about. In Iteso, my deputy is around. We will come and speak all of the to ensure that the people of Uganda understand the budget in the language. In West Nile, I can't forget. Otherwise, I might cause problems. We are coming everywhere in Uganda, all corners, in the language we understand. Number three, to account to the people of Uganda about our earlier commitments. Government is going to ensure that all of those promises and commitments government made in the past budget are accounted for. This is what we've done. We promised this is what we've done. That's the only way we are going to have John to go and collect tax when the people of Uganda know where their tax is going. And I want to tell you, we shall account for every penny because we have the numbers and also the results on the ground. We need also to obtain feedback from the citizens. What do you think about this budget? So that we can inform future budgets and policies. The budget shouldn't be a ritual. It should be a dynamic initiative where the citizens must contribute. Where you see that we need to change something, now the budget month is the opportunity to give us that feedback. So the above initiatives have enabled government in the past to interact with the citizens on the budget-related matters and to improve budget transparency. Uganda's budget is fully open to public scrutiny, to parliamentary scrutiny, so that we can ensure accountability. And we want to continue that way, if not to strengthen it. Before I conclude, I should summarize for you the key activities we are going to implement during the month. In this year's month, budget month, which we are launching today, we plan to undertake the following activities. Number one, we are going to conduct a pre- and post-budget speech media engagement on topical issues on the budget and the economy. And this engagement will include a series of activities carried out from Wednesday, that is tomorrow, 5th of June 2024, to Tuesday, 12th June. We shall have these pre-budget engagements, and then after reading the budget also we shall have more. Then we shall have the budget reading on the Thursday of 13th of June 2024. My Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development will present the budget, and we shall still be able to fully enable everybody to understand this budget speech. Number three, we shall have post-budget speech dialogues, and these will include the post-budget East African Community Tax and Debt Dialogue, as well as the National Dialogue on Tax Measures for next year, so that we can understand all of these issues we have been discussing about tax. Sometimes when I'm somewhere, you somebody saying, "Sir, IFRIS," we are going to understand now IFRIS very well. What does this system, how is it good for the businesses actually that apparently we are fighting it? Because it's going to level the ground for everybody, as we shall explain. We shall also have private sector post-budget dialogue, where we shall discuss issues to do with the wealth creation, business and economic recovery, measures we are putting in place. This will take place on Tuesday, 18th June. For us, where I come from, we say God willing, on that June of 18th. And then we shall have regional dialogues. We are going to every region of Uganda from 19th June up to 2nd of July this year, to take the budget to the people, to bring this budget to you, nearer to you. We shall all come there and explain to you in the language we better all understand. Number five, we shall have regional private sector taxpayers dialogues on the opportunities in the budget. We need all to start as Ugandans looking for opportunities, not problems all the time. You know, wherever you talk to people, they say, what are the challenges? What are the risks? We want to start looking at opportunities. Because, you know, in Uganda, in our schools, even those who prepare public documents, they were taught in schools problem statement. Whenever they are doing things, what is the problem statement? We want to start opportunity statement. What are the opportunities? I would really appeal to Ugandans to start looking for opportunities. When you look for opportunities, actual opportunities come your way. If you look for problems, there will always be problems. And the media also tell the people the opportunities. There are so many opportunities in this 72 trillion. But every time I see things, they are mainly, you want to tell Uganda that every problem in Uganda is their problem. And then lastly, we shall have dialogue with the journalists and the editors of the various media institutions, because they are our key partners in communicating this budget. And we work together to ensure that we communicate the budget the way it is, so that Ugandans can take full advantage. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank very heartily our partners for the close collaboration which we have had in promoting good governance in the budget process. The budget of Uganda is a pro-people budget, we would want to continue working together to ensure that the people themselves, they are really owning the budget. Where there are things which are not addressing their concerns, we know them and we address or remove them. I thank you very much for listening to me.
That's not how we appreciate someone who has given us all the assurances that we are very stable and all is well. But before I move on, I wanted to recognize the presence of our Director, Economic Affairs, Moses Kagwa. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And PSST, thank you for introducing us to the biggest ATM. And I hope everyone watching us and joining us for this launch of the National Budget Month begins to appreciate the direction and the pillars under which, if you're involved in the ATM or the sectors under ATM, you will definitely get government support, agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral-based industrial development, which of course in there under minerals is oil and gas. We can now begin, including members of the Fourth Estate. I think now we know where to go for those of us who are retiring out of the Fourth Estate. I want to appreciate those of you already sharing this conversation. You can tag the Ministry of Finance in your engagement, and we should be able to revert to you in case there is a question or comment specifically to the PSST's presentation, which can also be found on the website, the Ministry of Finance website, immediately after this launch. I want to take the pleasure of inviting a representative of the civil society organizations. I'm not sure if it's Julius or Dr. Arthur who is coming. Please welcome with me, ladies and gentlemen, Julius Mukunda from CS Bank.
Thank you, Maurice. Honorable Minister, acting in charge of finance and economic development, planning and community development, the PSST, the chair, Uganda Network, the deputy PSST, you are welcome to this to our National Budget Month. Honorable Minister, this is an initiative that we started with Ministry of Finance after it was realized that Ugandans were actually not appreciating the budget process. We are happy today that the conversation around the budget is much more deeper than what it was 10 years ago. We are glad that the budget information, if you recall, Honorable Minister, there used to be a statement in the budget speech those days when the minister has read and he would say, and this takes effect immediately tonight. Midnight. Thank you. Because that was what it was. Even members of parliament didn't know what was in the budget until it was read. But today, I'm happy that even by the time the minister is going to read, we already have 99% of the budget known on what is going to happen. This increases our engagement efforts. It increases our engagement efforts. It makes us debate from an objective point of view, but also it helps us understand the challenge we face in this country. We are here because, Honorable Minister, this event promotes transparency and accountability, that everything is in open, and I support the PSST for saying that our budget is as open as the Bible. Partly important also, this is the moment when we begin to see the signals in the budget. And the PSST probably took my word. The things that are in the budget that Ugandans need to look out for. Because when you look at it, you realize that there are certain things that we really need to look out for. And for me, on top of what he said, financing our diplomats to look for markets. When I saw that, I said, yes, that is something that is important and productive. That every diplomat in this country must have a KPI. How much of Ugandan products are you selling in your country? If you are not doing the best, pack your bags back, you come back home, and we can send my brother Arthur to go and become a diplomat and sell our things. We are not short of people to sell our products. For me, that's very key and very important. Honorable Minister, as we go into this National Budget Month activities, it is also important to tell Ugandans the challenges we face as a country. So that these politicians, once you go in the villages, people, we need not to lie to people. We need to tell people exactly what is happening. So that if they want an extra road or they want an extra district, they should know the constraints that the government is facing. That we don't have a blank check, that we are constrained in terms of spending our money. It's very important that anything they push pressure on to get, we are likely to go and start borrowing more. And we have a debt issue that we need to make sure that we strongly manage it. If we keep asking for more, it becomes a very big challenge. As such, I thank you, Minister of Finance, for keeping this activity on your calendar. Some time back we thought it was not going to be there, but thanks that we have more supporters within the ministry, that this activity still remains and remains live. Let me take the opportunity to ask my brother Arthur to make also the final remarks. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ndugu Julius. The Honorable Minister, the UNICEF rep, the Permanent Secretary, Chairman UDN, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Dr. Binom Shah, and I come here to represent ACODE, Advocates Coalition for Development and Environment. My speech, my brother has given a very good speech. I may be a bit controversial. Allow me to speak the inconvenient truth so that we can move forward. We just concluded a national dialogue organized by Operation Wealth Creation and the Ministry of Trade for 3 days. So we had a different category of people because 3 days we are looking at the challenges. And so, but also we looked at the opportunities, PS, so I'll talk about that. But let me start by appreciating the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, and indeed the government of Uganda for the partnership, the Budget Transparency Initiative, where civil society and government work together to promote budget transparency and accountability for this country. This is a very good thing, and I think Uganda ranks highly because of how participatory, how transparent our budget process is. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to point out a few issues that our budget, or that government, of course through the Ministry of Finance, needs to focus on as we implement. Because as partners, we've done a lot of research, and these are issues that we want to bring on the table that we think the budget and indeed government need to focus on if we are going to achieve the theme, full monetization of the Ugandan economy through commercial agriculture, industrialization, expanding and broadening services, digital transformation, and market access. Yeah, the first point I want to talk about is corruption. I think now it's becoming a brand that because of the levels, increasing levels of corruption. And of course, corruption, like prostitution, is a vice and cannot be eradicated, like poverty as well, because we talk about poverty reduction. You cannot talk about poverty eradication. But corruption can be reduced to a level that does not actually constrain development. I think I would want to see that this budget, and I'm glad the PS has alluded to that, zero tolerance to corruption, some of it that passes through will not constrain us. So I think I want to see allocation of the resources, because corruption scares away foreign direct investment. Corruption wastes the scarce resources that we have to invest in productive sectors of our economy. Education, you talked about it, education, health, infrastructure. We need this money, and we cannot relax on our fight against corruption. But also, when corruption becomes an endemic, it has even overthrown governments. It causes civil unrest and can actually cause political instability in countries. So I think we need to have serious fight against corruption. The other issue, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, that we think we need to focus on is supplementary budgets. I think supplementary budgets also have become endemic in this country, and no wonder. It's an indictment about our planning. Because if the budget takes all this time planning, why do we bring in supplementary budgets that actually, some of them actually would not qualify? Because supplementary budgets undermine our Public Finance Management Act 2015 as amended, and I think while supplementary budgets are unavoidable, because they are unavoidable, but they can be minimized. I think it has become very, 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 it's like a joke, these supplementary budgets, and I know the PS, when you came in, you said you are going to deal with supplementary budgets. I think, I remember you made a commitment, and I think that commitment should be there, because also a budget is a planning tool. So we need to be planners so that we don't. I don't know whether people use supplementary budgets as part of the corruption. Bring very important thing at the end, and I think the recent example of the population, the census, is a good example, because it takes 10 years to prepare for a census. How can you be bringing supplementary budgets when you have planned for? So Africans and Uganda in particular, we need to plan. Put planning ahead of money. We need to plan. So I've emphasized that one. Of course, my brother has talked about debt sustainability. Maybe the minister will confirm whether our debt is still sustainable. Because, you have good figures, you can convince us, but I think we are going back to being a highly indebted country. I know it's a post-COVID issue, but we can be prudent in the appetite. So we talk about curbing appetite for borrowing, but also we know that there's some loans which are not performing. Why do you borrow money when you are not ready to use it? So that's the issue. The other point has to do with limited action on accountability, especially the Auditor General's report. The Auditor General's report would want to see like a scorecard on the implementation of the Auditor General's recommendations. The final point, Honorable Minister, ladies and gentlemen, has to do with financing for local governments. This country is well known for implementing a successful decentralization policy since 1987. Of course, the decentralization policy came into place in 1992, and Uganda became a political maker for most countries, benchmarking this country. But increasingly, local governments take a small share of the national budget, and yet that's where production takes place. It's at the local government. It's now a PDM has taken it further now to the parishes. I think more money, Honorable Minister, PS and team, I think we need to give money to the local governments. And I want to put a case for local governments, chairpersons, LC5s and mayors. They don't have vehicles. They don't have vehicles because we also have an MOU with the Ministry of Local Government. And yet we are sending billions of money. Thank you for sending a lot of money for services. But these politicians have a responsibility for oversight, monitoring services. How would they do it if they don't have vehicles? So my appeal, I know that this is, we have to be careful. We have a limited envelope, but we need to equip the chairpersons, LC5s, and the mayors to be able to follow this money. Otherwise, this money is going to be actually misused, mismanaged, and poor services to the citizens is, of course, a consequence. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I want to, on behalf of ACODE, to show our commitment to budget transparency and accountability, commitment to developing this country we must develop this country and be proud of this country. As I came in, I come from Buwate and Nigeria. We have to wash our cars twice a day, because if you pass there, I don't know. I think I have seen your vehicle. I think the Honorable Minister, you stay that side. So I think it's an indictment. It is too. I want us to have confidence as citizens in our country, to be proud of this country. When you see a road here in the city like that, what they did now, they removed all the inconveniencing tarmac, and now it's a full-scale dust. If we are prudent in managing our resources, we'll be able to tarmac our roads, we'll be able to be proud of this country. I'm now 58. I came back to this country. I used to work at the UN. I was in New York. I came back in 2006 to support this country in a small way that I could, because I was involved in restarting the peace talks with the RRA, and I was an advisor to Honorable Gunda. So I came back, and now I remember the opportunity that I could remain. I would be an Under Secretary General at the UN. So I think we need to modernize this country seriously. And the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development is our engine. Let's modernize this country and be proud of this country and bring back our people who are going away. I don't know if some of you have had some families relocating to Canada and other places, I think, and very educated. So who will develop this country? Let's actually modernize, but we can modernize if we are prudent the way we utilize our resources. And for me, from ACODE, we are committed to promoting this transparency so that these resources can develop this country. And before we go to our creator, there is a modern country to be proud of. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arthur. You are at your own mercy when you give Dr. Arthur the microphone. And I'm glad he said he was going to be open in his remarks. He speaks on behalf of Muntuawansi. And Dr. Arthur, I am also happy that you're the one who asked for vehicles, because usually when government says we're going to buy vehicles, we are all asking why. Now it is you, the civil society, asking for vehicles for the local government leaders, the LC5 chair, who have to play their oversight role of government services. I did see, I think, Mr. Aiden Rujumba, our Commissioner of Financial Management Services, also join us, so we want to welcome you, Aiden. If you're just joining us, you're watching the official launch of the National Budget Month for the financial year 24-25, but also this particular edition includes the Open Budget Survey Report for 2023. I want to now take the pleasure of inviting the Executive Director, UDN, the Uganda Debt Network, to come and make his statement as we enter into this session of the Open Budget Survey Report 2023. Let's welcome him with a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, MC. The Honorable Minister of State for Privatization and Investment, Honorable Anite, the Permanent Secretary of State of Treasury, Mr. Ramadan Gobi, the UNICEF Country Representative, Dr. Munir Silduen, officials from DAs of government represented here, the chair of UDN board, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Atmabaz Patrick, and I think Honorable Minister, allow me to digress a bit. The previous speeches were all on budget. And today we are launching two aspects: the National Budget Month and the OBS 2023 report. So my speech will mainly focus on the OBS 2023 report. I recognize and appreciate all participants represented here on this launch of the Open Budget Report 2023 and the National Budget for the National Budget Month for the year 2024-2025. And I want to thank you, Honorable Minister, for gracing this occasion representing the Minister of Finance. We feel very privileged to be with us, Honourable Minister. In the same vein, Honourable Minister, allow me to thank the Minister of Finance and Planning and Economic Development, who have been collaborating with Uganda Debt Network since 2006, when Uganda Debt Network started being a researcher for the OBS in Uganda. Thank you, Minister of Finance. Honourable Minister, also allow me to thank our partners, specifically UNICEF, Uganda, the International Budget Partnership based in Washington, for their continued support on the OBS, and in a special way, thank the country representative for UNICEF, Dr. Munir Zidrin, to come and grace this occasion. Honourable Minister, as we launch this OBS report 2023 and the national budget month processes, Uganda as a country is hitting another milestone for budget processes and in as far as participation, oversight, transparency are concerned. For purposes of information, Honourable Minister, the Open Budget Survey is the world's comparative and independent and regular assessment for transparency, oversight, participation in national budgets. For this very report, which for the year 2022, the Open Budget Survey assessed 125 countries. Which of these are home to 95% of the world population? And also it includes budgets totaling about 33.5 trillion cash for spending for the year 2022. Honourable Minister, the latest round of Open Budget Survey comes at a turbulent time of unprecedented challenges. People have talked of raising debt. We have got inflation, we have got conflicts, closing civic space, and climate change, among others, which have led to serious socioeconomic setbacks for many countries. Honourable Minister, debt still is a problem. We continue to see unprecedented debt distress levels, especially low-income countries, where already at least 2 countries on the African continent actually have defaulted on their debt obligations. And at this stage, I want to thank the government of Uganda and Minister of Finance. We are not in that category. Our debt is not in that category. I thank you, PSST, and the ministry. In addition, structural inequality is undermining the promise of democracy to deliver for all. Given these challenges, Honourable Minister, the budget process provides countless opportunities for the government to share information. This has been emphasized about public resource decisions it is making and their rationale. In addition, seeking citizens-generated evidence, people have talked about this, that can help in making better decisions that actually reflects people's priorities. The previous, including you, Mr. PSST, you have mentioned this, and this goes a long way in enhancing the citizens' socio-economic transformation. As I conclude, Honourable Minister, I have very little time. The citizen socio-economic transformation is only possible, and it is possible everywhere and in every country. And everyone stands to gain as long as the public can meaningfully participate in deeply consequential decisions around how to manage the public resources. I thank you.
Can we once again appreciate Mr. Patrick Tumwebaze, the Executive Director, Uganda Debt Network, for his statement that catalyzes this Open Budget Survey Report 2023 process. And I want to appreciate in a very special, and I want to request that we appreciate UNICEF for supporting this survey. So can we give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? And again, we are managing time because this is a live telecast launch and, of course, the Open Budget Survey report release. And I need to mention that we will manage the time so that the minister can speak when we are still on TV. It's very difficult for media to extend time when they have given you a specific period within which to broadcast. So I want to invite our country representative UNICEF, Dr. Munir Safulden, to come and make his remarks, statement on behalf of UNICEF. Let's welcome him with a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
The Honorable Acting Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Ms. Anit, the Chairperson of the Parliamentary Budget Committee, the Auditor General, Secretary of the Office of the President, Permanent Secretaries present here, Commissioners present, the Executive Director, National Planning Commission, the Secretary General, Uganda Local Government Association, heads of government, MDAs, senior government officials, executive directors of the Executive Director of the Uganda Debt Network, heads of civil society organizations, private sector representatives, media representatives, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. First and foremost, I extend my heartfelt thanks to the government of the Republic of Uganda, particularly to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development for organizing the launch of the 2024-2025 budget month and the release of the Open Budget Survey results for 2023. And allow me to focus on the latter, which is the OBS. The 2023 Open Budget Survey results launched globally on the 29th of May 2024 highlight Uganda commendable performance. Uganda ranks first in transparency with a score of 59 out of 100. The achievement underscores the deliberate efforts of the government of Uganda to prioritize the Open Budget Survey score as key indicator of the budget transparency in the National Development Plan 3, fostering better monitoring and accountability. However, from our support to the Ministry of Finance, we understand that Uganda fell short of the 61 out of 100 threshold, primarily due to the delay in publishing critical documents online. The good news is that through the OPS reform matrix developed in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, Parliament Budget Office, the Office of the Auditor General, Uganda Debt Network, and the support from UNICEF, Uganda is on track to surpass the threshold of 61 out of 100 in 2025 survey. So we look forward for that. Beyond transparency, I would like to extend my congratulations to the Parliament of Uganda and the Office of the Auditor General for their exceptional work in budget oversight. For the first time, Uganda not only met but exceeded the threshold score, achieving 67 out of 100 in 2023, which is up from 59 out of 100 in 2021. So congratulations. Despite these successes, there is room for improvement in budget consultations across the national budget continuum. Many countries, not only Uganda, face the challenge in this area, with Uganda scoring only 15 out of 100, down from 19 out of 100 in 2021. We will continue working with the Ministry of Finance and other partners to strengthen and sustain budget consultations. And I believe a few of the speakers who spoke before me highlighted this aspect. Engaging citizens in the budgeting process ensures buy-in and provides a platform for accountability. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't be doing justice for UNICEF and children if I don't link the budget to the well-being of children. And we were speaking with the PSST about this. While discussing the budget, it is crucial to highlight the situation of children in Uganda. The Ugandan children have continuously benefited from so many improvements in the socioeconomic indicators. However, at this moment, I would like to highlight a few gaps which are also linked to some additional budget allocation that are needed. The first area I would like, as a gap, I would like to highlight and request for an opportunity of supporting with financial resources is the fact that at the moment, 82% of the children under the age of 5 lack birth certificates. So 82% of the children in Uganda under the age of 5 years, they don't have birth certificates. Some people will say, what is the significance of that? Birth certificates is the key to having an ID. It's the key to be counted as a human being who is entitled to all children and human rights. So and the cost of certification, birth registration and certification is not huge. So my appeal is that we put more money to make sure that every child under the age of 5 years has birth registration and, more importantly, the certification. We also have the challenge at the moment that approximately 6.2 million children are participating in the labor force. They are supposed to be in schools, not in the labor force. It's important because Uganda every year brings to primary one about 2.2 million children. Voluntarily, 2.2 million children come to primary one every year, which is almost universal enrollment in primary one. But the dropout is very high. Almost 50% of these children who enroll in primary one, they don't complete primary education up to P7. And that's why we have this large number, 6.2 million children currently in as part of the labor force rather than being in schools. We also have another challenge which is growing at the moment related to adolescent girls. Currently, 2/3 of new HIV infections are among adolescent girls. 2/3 of new infections of HIV are among adolescent girls. And I think many of you, if not all of you, are aware of the crisis of teenage pregnancies in Uganda. Teenage pregnancy translates into unsafe sex, where no precautions are taken to protect the persons involved from HIV or protect them from unwanted pregnancy. So this is an area where additional resources will help a lot. Finally, one gap that we hope to be addressed through additional budgetary allocation is the fact that 46% of youth are neither in employment, not in education, nor in training, the so-called NEET, N-E-E-T. So with additional budget allocation in these areas, we do believe that the children of every child, or the well-being of every child in Uganda will be secured. And the Ugandan children will soon be on the road for very productive adulthood. Uganda has made significant strides in its development agenda, effectively allocating, utilizing, and reporting on its scarce resources. The decline in multidimensional child poverty, currently at 44, from the previous figure in 2017, which was in 2017, which was 56, is a testament to these efforts. However, we must continue to invest more to ensure all children transition safely into productive adulthood. UNICEF believes the national budget is a powerful tool for realizing development goals. However, we observe that current resource allocations for health and education remain suboptimal at less than 10% of each of these total resources envelope. So as we know, there are threshold kind of agreements. For education, we expect countries like Uganda to spend around 20% of annual budget on education, which is currently not the case. Currently, Uganda spends less than 10% on education. And education is a very critical area of work, simply because it's where we prepare young people for the future of the country. And as I mentioned, you have a wide interest among the public to bring their children to school. Almost 2.2 million is universal enrollment. This is amazing. But with more money, we can keep all of them in the school, and we make sure that all of them graduate successfully. Finally, I would like also to ask for additional money for social protection. With the figures we have mentioned, or I have mentioned, with regard to the fact that 44% of the people of Uganda are multidimensionally poor, with additional allocation to social protection, poverty levels can be reduced. And once poverty levels are reduced, children will be freed from the labor they are engaged in, and they will be back in school. And Uganda has been one of the pilot countries, or the first runners, to declare not only universal primary education in the 1990s, but also Uganda was a pioneer in announcing and committing itself to universal secondary education. We in UNICEF assure you of our commitment to work very closely with you, to support you in your endeavor to achieve the well-being of every Ugandan and every child that lives in Uganda. Thank you very much, and congratulations on the remarkable achievements on the Open Budget Survey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Munir Safuldin, the country representative UNICEF, for your remarks. And ladies and gentlemen, I just want to prepare you that the chair of the Uganda Debt Network has an uphill task of cutting his 100-page presentation into 10 minutes because of our TV time. But he assured me that on the floor of Parliament, I think they get 3 minutes, and he always made sure he delivered his presentation in 3 minutes. So the Honorable Fred Obach, you're welcome to make your presentation. He will be giving us the results of the Open Budget Survey Report 2023 with a call for action with clear commitments. You're welcome, Honorable.
The Honorable Minister of State for Finance, in charge of privatization and investment, who is also holding the portfolio of the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. And all of you distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister, I'm happy to be home because I see a number of friends from the Ministry of Finance. And when I walked in here with both elbows out, DST Patrick Ochaila asked, "Are you back?" And I only smiled back. I'm only here to present to the nation Uganda's Open Budget Survey's results for 2023. And I would like to thank all the partners who have made it possible for Uganda Debt Network to make this survey, and we've been doing this since the year 2006. So UNICEF, we thank you, and also our partners from outside the country. Now, is the presentation on, is it on? If not, what I'm going to do, just to give you the background, introduction, transparency, public participation, budget oversight and overall ranking in the 10 minutes that have been given. The government budget decisions have important consequences for all people in society, whether it be taxation, whether it be service provision, and how much debt to take. These are very important issues, Honorable Minister. When governments provide information and meaningful channels for public and to engage in these decisions, we can better ensure public money is spent on the public interest. And PSST, and you are giving some of your areas of priorities, maybe you should also include the demographic dividend, which was launched, I think, in 2017. The youth in Uganda now, the number is increasing the population is growing at 3%. And if it is 3% of 50 million people, Honorable Minister, that means about 1.5 million people every year. That means Ugandans are not sleeping. Now, the open budget survey assessment for formal opportunities offered to the public for meaningful participation in the different stages of the budget process. It examines the practices of the central government executive, the legislature, the supreme and institutions which do the budgets, the audit functions. Using 18 equally weighted indicators aligned with the Global Initiative for Fiscal Transparency, Principles of Public Participation in Fiscal Policies, and it scores each country on a scale of 0 to 100. And this 9th edition that we are launching today of the Open Budget Survey covered 25 countries, as you have already been told. And I'm happy that Dr. Munir, Honorable Minister, has explained to you in the case of transparency that Uganda has done very well. In the East Africa, we were the best. We were number 1. And we scored 59%. However, globally, out of the 125 countries, we ranked 44, which is quite commendable. However, we need to improve. Last year, we were at 58, and this year we moved to 59, which is still below, because we are still at the category of limited in terms of ranking. Therefore, the mark which is still lacking is only 2 to take us to 61%, so that we now move to adequate. And Honorable Minister, I am quite confident that Uganda can actually go to 65%, so that we are not only the best in East Africa, but also maybe in the global world we become maybe number 10 in the whole world. Now, what changed in the OBS for 2023? Uganda has increased the availability of budget information by publishing the enacted budget online in a timely manner. However, Uganda has decreased in the availability of budget information by failing to publish the citizens' budget online in a timely manner. So it is our request that we move in that direction. Then, still on the transparency, we believe that Uganda can actually do much better, as I've already said earlier. And then if we can move from that position of 59 and go to the position of 65, as I've mentioned earlier. Then, Honorable Minister, what are the recommendations on the transparency? Now, number 1, Uganda should prioritize the following actions to improve budget transparency. 1, publish the citizens' budget online in timely manner. The citizens' budget should be published online in the same timeline and time frame as the document is simplified. 2, include the executive budget proposal dates, data on the financial position of the government, and data on the macroeconomic forecast. This includes publishing the information on non-financial assets held by the government, estimates of the expenditure in arrears, and information on contingent and future liabilities. Furthermore, Honorable Minister, the executive budget proposal should include information that shows how all new policy proposals affect expenditure and revenue, and on how the proposed budget links to the government policy goals for the budget year and subsequent ones. 3, Honorable Minister, include in the year-end report comparisons between borrowing estimates and actual outcomes, and comparisons between the original macroeconomic forecast and actual outcomes. This has been lacking to some extent, and this we need to come on board. Furthermore, improve on the comprehensiveness of the audit report and the mid-year review. And this mid-year review, Honorable Minister, is very, very important. Now, the open budget survey for oversight, which mainly involves members of parliament, and I hope that the members of parliament are here. The open budget survey examines the role that legislators and the audit institutions play in the budget process and the extent to which they provide oversight. Each country is scored on, again, a scale of 0 to 100, and it is based on 18 equally weighted indicators. In addition to the survey, they collect supplementary information on independent fiscal institutions. Now, the legislature and the audit institution in Uganda together this year, Honorable Minister, they scored an average of 67% out of 100%. And I think this was commendable. But if you take them individually, the legislative oversight scored only 61%, and the audit oversight scored 78%. So there is need for Parliament to improve on this, although we are at the adequate level, but there is need for us to move to a much higher one, and possibly if Parliament can also move to 70%, we'll appreciate. And what do we recommend in regarding the oversight function? Number one, the Uganda's Parliament provides adequate oversight during the planning stage of the budget cycle, and weak oversight during the implementation stage. To further improve oversight, the following actions should be promoted and prioritized by Parliament. Number one, guest of honor, the Legislative Committee should examine in-year budget implementation and publish reports with the findings online so that the whole of Uganda can know what is happening. 2, in practice, ensure the legislature is consulted before the executive shifts funds specified in the enacted budget between administrative units. And of course, this is covered by the 2015, the budget, the act which came in 2015. So when they move this and then spend any unanticipated revenue, the spending of any unauthorized anticipated revenue, or reduces spending due to revenue shortfalls during the budget year. And I'm happy that my colleague, Doctor, mentioned something about these supplementaries. Then they should strengthen the independence and improve audit oversight by the Uganda Office of the Auditor General, and the following actions are recommended despite the fact that they scored 78%. Ensure the Supreme Audit Institution has adequate funding to perform its duties. And again, this is subject to members of Parliament ensuring that adequate funding is given to the Office of the Auditor General. And as determined by the independent body, they should be able to look into this, for example, the legislature or the judiciary, and then ensure audit processes are reviewed by an independent agency. Again, this becomes important so that the independence of the audit and also those other independent entities are able to double check on what is required. Now, Honorable Minister, the public participation This is where Uganda did much very, very low, and members of the media, I think, take this quite seriously. The Outward Budget Survey assesses the formal opportunities offered by the public for meaningful participation in the different stages of the budget process. It examines the practices of the central government's expenditure, the legislature, and the Auditor Generals and its other institutions. Again, using 18 equally weighted indicators aligned with the Global Initiative for Fiscal Transparency Principles or public participation on fiscal policies, and scores each country on a scale of 0 to 100. Now, in the case of Uganda, this one I'm telling it to you only, don't let your neighbor hear. It's just for you only. Uganda, as a public participating, scored 15 out of 100. Don't let your neighbor hear. Which puts us in the least category, which is few, the least category. So it has been a decline. Last year, at least, we had gone up to 31%. Now imagine dropping from 31% to 15%. How can you allow the whole nation to hear this? But on a more positive way, the global average is 15%. So, Honorable Minister, there is a lot to be done. Because the role, like you've seen, of the press, the media, is important. So we are calling upon Ugandans through your office to ensure that the participation of the public in the budget process is enhanced. If it could come to at least 61%, we would really be very appreciative. And so, to the extent that we request that the recommendation for the public participation, the Uganda's Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, which you heard, has established pre-budget deliberations during budget formulation and the e-consultations during budget implementation, but to further strengthen public participation in the budget process, and this should also prioritize the following actions, Honourable Minister. Number one, expand mechanisms during budget formulation and implementation to engage any civil society organization or a member of the public who wishes to participate. And if you are going to talk hard things, please don't apologize. They must be talked. If you are going to talk about corruption, so be it. Talk about them. If you are going to talk about the fact that the children are not being given much, as Dr. Munir has said, so say it. Number two, active engagement with vulnerable and underrepresented communities, directly or through civil society organizations representing them. Number three, Uganda's parliament should prioritize the following actions. One, allow members of the public or civil society organization to testify during the hearings on the budget proposals prior to its approval. Call them to the committees and engage them. Two, allow members of the public or civil society organization to testify during its hearings on the audit report. And in most cases, when they are handling audit reports, the public is not brought on board. Number three, Uganda's Office of the Auditor General has established mechanisms for the public to assist in developing its audit program. It should prioritize the following action to improve public participation in the budget process. Establish a formal mechanism for the public to contribute to relevant audit investigations. And finally, Honourable Minister, I've used 7 minutes. I'm still left with 3. While Uganda, these are now overall comments, while Uganda is among the best in East Africa at the global scene, we really need to improve, mostly especially in terms of public participation, which was at 15%. Two, moreover, that is where citizens fall most. We need to ensure that in subsequent surveys, we do better than weak, and preferably for all in the adequate category, if we can move there, because on average, of 47 cells still remains in limited, but if we could go to 61, 62, so that we go to a better. Then 3, we thank government for the openness and availability to openly avail information that ultimately resulted in this report. And of course, as my friend was saying, it used to be, before I think, Honourable Minister, you were born, effective midnight tonight, the price of paraffin has gone up 1,000%. You are not consulted, and most of the people at that time were using these cardomas. But effective midnight, nobody is consulted. And it was worse with the revenue side. And I think, Honourable Minister, it is need to consult the public more on the revenue side. We are consulting very well on the expenditure side, but on the revenue side, and I'm happy that the Commissioner General of URA is here, there is need for more consultation so that we widen the tax base. When we consult, and if there are people who are evading, these are the same people who will tell you these are the people who are evading. We are going to attack them ourselves on your behalf. So as UDN, Uganda Debt Network, we are very happy to have been selected to champion this research over the years, and we are glad to have seen all the journey through and how far we have now come. And as you launch this tool, Honourable Minister, we thank you for the good work we are doing. We thank you for taking Uganda to the state of middle income status, the lower, and I'm sure we can even move further. And we hope that you will give us the correct figures after the national population census has come out, so that whether you're going to rebate or you're going to do what, we are aware of the actual figures. With these few remarks, I thank you for honoring this with your presence, and I thank all of you for fully participating. May God bless you all.
May we once again appreciate the Honorable Fred March and his presentation. I can assure you there were 100 pages, and he's found a way of presenting this in 8.5 minutes. Well done, Honorable. And so I won't waste any time. I will now invite the Honorable Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to come make her statement. Immediately after her statement, we'll launch the National Budget Month and, of course, the Open Budget Survey report for 2023. With a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Those of you who stood up, please, I'm not a Saudi chief, so it's okay. You didn't have to stand. But allow me observe the protocols. The country rep of UNICEF, the Minister of Finance Emeritus, my brother-in-law or father-in-law, Jachano March, the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to Treasury, Ramadan Gobi, all the government officials, all the different government heads of institutions present, the head of civil society organizations, teachers, members of the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's very exciting to be the one to launch the budget survey report or the National Budget Month for the financial year 2024-2025. But before I read the formal speech of Honorable Matiaka Saija, allow me extend greetings from him. He's not in the country, and he has given me the privilege, which is an uphill task, to actually hold fort for the last 7 days now, and I still have additional 5 days to be holding the fort of Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. I arrived in Ministry of Finance in 2016, and when I arrived there, my focus was on revenue mobilization, and for a long time, I kept on avoiding being delegated the responsibility of Minister of Finance, because that responsibility entails revenue expense. And I do not like to focus on expenditure side. My passion is in revenue mobilization, and that's why you've been seeing me in industrial parks, in making sure that Ugandans become wealthy. And that has been my business. But I want to tell you, it has not been funny or fun. I told the minister yesterday that please come back quickly to take your docket, otherwise I'll become unpopular, because I am stopping travel abroad, because I think the minister like a clearinghouse for travel abroad. And I didn't like that. I feel it's unnecessary expenditure. And I actually picked my phone and called the PSST, and I'm like, PS, why don't you make these people just sit on a TV or on the internet and just attend the conferences like that? And PS told me some of them are very necessary. So you just select the ones which are very important, and others tell them to stay. I will stand with you. So PS, I thank you for that. And I want to congratulate the PS for one thing. I also thought that he has the right attitude, because when I arrived in finance, I saw a lot of supplementary. Every time there's supplementary budget. But permanent secretary, I walked in his office, he showed me a big safe, which is like 3 different or 5 levels. And he opened like this and said, all these are supplementary requests from different MDAs and departments. I have locked them here. They should wait for the next budget. So PS, thank you for helping our country, that we have to plan well. And now to the issues here. Civil society, I want to start with you before I read Matia's speech. I felt like you're glozing or romancing corruption. You started talking about it, but you're very kind. You're saying permanent secretary. I don't know whom you are fearing. Please fear nobody. I want to ask the civil society, because you're the one going to save us. For me, who am an ardent supporter of NRM, I am embarrassed with what is happening in the country. The corruption is making us to be very unpopular. We are tired. I am fatigued even now, ashamed to sit in those government cars. Because when you sit like this, when you dress smartly, our money. When you drink water, our money. I mean, because the citizens are aware that we are eating their money. They are tired. They're about to stone us. And PSST, before you officially got appointed as the Secretary of Treasury, you made this statement about the people who build long, high wall fences at the neighborhood of the poor people. PS, I want to tell you, when I arrived in finance, I chose the path of fighting corruption. And I started fighting vehemently. And perhaps that's the reason why my brother is now trying to check the neighborhood before he says, this corruption must stop. Because I was very bold and shouting, the corruption must stop, and naming and shaming. I want to tell you, I was treated like a plague. You know those leprosy days where the lepers will hang the bell on their neck. So every time I was coming, you'd see people talking, but all of a sudden they just go mute because Anita has arrived. Because they know she will actually say it out. Then I didn't know that friends, relatives, that the corrupt are so connected that they will hate you as a group. That even your friends will hate you. And you lose friends because you have really said something about corruption. But friends, fellow citizens, as we launch this budget, I want to say that let the whole country rise up, and civil society, our eyes on you, because you have nothing to lose. Nobody is voting for you. Those people, even me, nobody is voting for me. It's only one person who votes for me, President Museveni. Now, I am joining you in the fight. Let's call them out. What is it? When I was growing up, the wrongdoers, the wizards, and the Honorable Judge, they used to call them tongo tongo, the people who get things and throw on your back. In my local language, they call them tongo tongo because they make your back you would get like as if it's malaria, but if they inject you with malarious treatment, you actually would die. But that is like bewitching you. I remember then, government would make sure that those people are collected in the village, and then they would tie their hands using a rope, and they would parade them in the whole village, and they would be singing, Amatongo tongo ebe, amoso moso moso, that we are wizards, we're killing people, here we are. And everyone would run away from them. So I want to say that these corrupt people, let's name them one by one, tie them with a rope, and move them, parade them on City Square. I'm the corrupt person, here I am, I'm the corrupt accountant. I can assure you this corruption will stop. No need for the strings, because I'm told recently there was budget for chasing a web. Locusts, 1 billion, and they say, Anita, why are you asking this question? You keep quiet. I mean, but the truth is, Permanent Secretary, you've done your part, budgeted very well. The challenge now will come at the implementation stage. And as we're doing the implementation, I was actually discussing with a country rep of UNICEF. I was telling him, okay, you've given us the transparency score, and you say we are ranging at 59% on transparency, meaning that we are actually uploading and giving all the information. How are we faring on the corruption front? Because in East Africa, we are number 1 on the transparency. How about the corruption front? So he told me, no, that's a different body. I think I would have to find out. So PS, my question to this room here is, who is responsible for the corruption scorecard? Because we need to give it. And I want to tell you, as I conclude my remarks, and the PS said we should focus on the positive things. I mean, now am I going to talk about positive things when I am about to be lynched? Everyone is saying, our money, our money, our money. Even now, they've lost confidence. When you tell them that there is money for PDM, they say, ah. When you tell them that we're going to build a standard gauge railway, they say, ah. They've lost confidence. But I want to tell you, don't lose all the hope. There is a message of hope. But as we do that, let's have a two-pronged approach. Let's fight the corruption, all of us. And I want to tell you where to start fighting the corruption. Accounting officers of all the ministries, departments, and agencies, they are the ones who are actually dispensing the money. If you're an accounting officer in this room and I can see you, please put up your hand. Because we want to see you, because the budget says we are sending the money to you. Can you see they're not putting up the hand? PS. Accounting officers, there is one. You see? There's the one of finance, there's another one here. These are the people. When we announce the budget, the money doesn't stay with him. The money doesn't stay in the treasury. It is sent to these accounting officers. So I want to ask the civil society, first list all the name of accounting officers, plus the amount of money going to them, then start checking them one by one. Who has spent what and where has it gone for? That is transparency, that is accountability, and that is going to fight and reduce corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to quarrel more than I have done. Allow me read the good man's speech, Honorable Matiaka Saija, who says the economy is growing. Let me read his speech. I take this opportunity to welcome you all to officially launch the National Budget Month for the financial year 2024-25 and the Open Budget Survey Report 2023. Globally, all government policies are implemented to improve the well-being of their citizens. This can only be achieved through ensuring governance in the entire budget process, which ensures no one is left behind during the budget process, so that the interventions, priorities, and implementations are all inclusive and responsive to the needs of the citizens. I want to commend Ministry of Finance that indeed we went all over the country to try to get the citizens' views, in as much as the report by my brother-in-law, Joshua Amach, indicates the citizens' participation at 15%. But I want to say that indeed Ministry of Finance made an effort this financial year, that before we started the budget process, the first was to visit all the local governments, and get the views of the citizens. To this effect, the government of Uganda has over the years implemented a number of reforms to promote good governance in the budget process, among which is the signing of a memorandum of understanding with the civil society organization in 2018, which allows the civil society to to freely participate in the budget process to all stages. I did caution the civil society that beyond participation, let's call out the corrupt and name them one by one. Access information on the budget and disseminate to the citizens, and collaborate with government in empowering the citizens to effectively participate in the budget processes and demand for accountability for improved service delivery. At that point, I want to make reference to the key areas that the Permanent Secretary just emphasized in his speech, which is the PDM, which is education. You did hear the speech of the country rep of UNICEF talking about child labor. And I want to say that it is indeed government's deliberate effort to eradicate that, and that's why the budget is focusing on investing money in the education sector in this budget, among others. Partnering with the civil society organization to undertake an independent assessment of how transparent and accountable the budget process is, and effectively an efficiency of budgeting oversight function. As government, together with our partners, we believe it is a good practice to bring the budget to the people with discussions on current issues that are of interest to the citizens. I must say that I was very excited that I could see the concerns of the citizens. Now, on the social media, if we're a government that listens, the citizens have actually spoken. And therefore, that I believe that we are a government that listens. That explains why we've been in power for over 30 years. And we will listen to the views of the citizens. As you heard from the Permanent Secretary, we have a number of activities that have been scheduled to take place throughout the budget month period to be implemented in collaboration with the partners to provide an opportunity to the citizens to appreciate what is in the budget. And I want to ask the citizens to seize the opportunities that have been highlighted in the areas of commercial agriculture. Today we talked about the large-scale agriculturists, that there is funding for them in the budget. Now, if you're a farmer, you're in this room, and you're a farmer, you're watching to us through UBC, which is broadcasting live, I want to ask you to seize the opportunity. Don't wait to open the book of lamentation and say, I wish I accessed it. It is now. You must seize the opportunity. I wish to thank the International Budget Partnership, Uganda Date Network. I thought you would clap for them. The United Nations Children's Fund for undertaking the 9th edition of the Open Book Budget Survey. Let's clap for them. I also wish to express our appreciation for the support extended to the government by all partners to implement the recommendations of the previous survey, which has resulted in the improved performance in those parameters are laid into the report. We shall together work to address the gaps identified in the report for a better rating in the next edition. So, my brother-in-law, we have taken note of your concerns. We hope to improve in those areas. I wish to thank the partners for harmonizing the schedule of the National Budget Month activities, taking into consideration the other ongoing government programs. This will enable the ministry's political leadership effective participation in the engagements. With these few remarks, I take the honor to officially launch. Where is the book that I'm launching? Can I have the report? I don't want to say we're going to fight corruption and then you'll find me in it. So I want to say and do. If you can give me that and I launch it. To officially launch the implementation of the national budget activities for the financial year 2024-2025 and the Open Budget Survey Report 2023-2024/2025. May the good Lord bless you all, and let's fight corruption for the betterment of our country. Thank you.
want to invite our partners, and they are all here, to join, including our Commissioner General, URA, to come and witness this official launch of our National Budget Month, including the private sector. And I see the Vice Chair is here, Sarah Kajingo. There you go. The Honorable Minister is officially appending her signature to the board that officially marks the launch of this budget month for the financial year 24-25. Big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Minister has done her part. I request the PSST to do the same, and all the other partners will do the same. Honorable Minister, thank you. We'll have a photo after that, Honorable Minister. So let's allow others pen their signature, and then we will have a photo. I'll then invite all the other partners to join us in this photo, including, of course, Siatini, the Uganda Debt Network, the Economic Policy Research Center. Please send a representative, and of course, URA. And we will hold the report in the process. So this will be done. The open budget survey will be done immediately after this. So I know the team at the back immediately. The partners are appending the